Hello everyone. This is the 36th part of the story, Āvātār in DC Universe. Chapter 106, First Firebending Sub-Skill Part 2. Aden's Point of View. I slammed the door to the living room open, looking for her. Maze? She wasn't in the bar or in her room. I just checked it before arriving here. I really needed someone to stop me from doing something dumb. Something dumb in the way of going back there after Lucifer had teleported me to safety. I sat down on the couch, holding my head in between my arms and breathing a little too fast. Okay, let's look at the facts. Lucifer is powerful. The only one who can probably match him is Michael, and something tells me he wasn't part of that group. So, this is going to be a cakewalk for him. I mean, the only problem would be the realm getting destroyed from the aftershocks of their battle. I stopped as my throat seized. My elemental dimension, it would probably get destroyed. Oh shit. No. That can't happen. I can't let them fight there. Urgent mission. A host of divine creatures have breached past the boundaries of your realm, and the only one capable of stopping them is a railgun, nuclear missile, and world-ending meteor of a being all rolled into one. In other words, total overkill. Do something. Anything. To ensure your world does not get done dirty. Mission difficulty hell. General point of view. Lucifer swept his gaze over the heavenly host. Billions of battle-class angels led by the strongest of his brothers. A powerful force that would oppose any and all. However, severely outmatched by him alone. The only equal he had was currently indisposed. An easy and relaxed smile appeared on his face. Gabriel, how pleasant to see your face after so long, little brother, and I see you brought the rest of the family along too for this reunion. Now that Aden was safely back on Earth, his form changed from the mortal guise he used to restrain 99% of his charm. And the world bowed in submission as his unmatchable glorious aura was released. The battle angels behind the 6 archangels immediately felt the difference. This light was overbearing. Their wings seized up as they felt overwhelmed. Gabriel's own light, along with Raphael's and Uriel's, who were both flanking him, exploded out to match God's most beautiful creation's power. Samuel, you're looking, well. Gabriel responded. And seemingly very lost. You should not be here. Uriel added from the side. The archangel's face was grim as he joined the conversation. Lucifer spared a glance at him and shrugged. The heat gets to me sometimes. It's been over 1 billion years, brother. You can't fault me for taking a break. We can do much more than that, fallen one. Seraquiel cut in, brandishing his sword. Lucifer looked on with the smile never slipping off his face. Even while banished, your impurity and blasphemous touch extends to the creation. Why are you shielding that boy? Gabriel held up a hand. Enough, Seraquiel. Don't lose your temper. Not when the situation is this delicate. Gabriel Hornblower chided. Seraquiel, still Metatron's lapdog, I see. It seems nothing has changed in the Silver City since I left. Lucifer answered mockingly. We are here on Father's orders. Raphael, by far the quietest of the bunch, countered Lucifer's statement. And let me guess, those orders were passed down to you by Metatron, right? Seeing them go silent, Lucifer laughed. Just as I thought. I wonder how much of what he tells you to do comes from Father. He is the voice of the presence, just like I am his judgment, justice, and vengeance. We all have a part to play in the plan, deceiver. Ruggel told Lucifer. Disgust appeared on Lucifer's face. Don't tell me about the plan, Ruggel. It is inconceivable that a breathing, feeling, and reasoning being such as we are not expected to craft our own paths. That is what I did. I sought a way out of the madness that is Father's controlling self. I desired freedom. And I am at peace with that decision. Lucifer's face changed into an impassive stare. In any case, I find myself tiring of this little family reunion. My patience has run out, Gabriel. Take the host back to heaven before I break through those pearly gates myself. Right behind your broken forms. He addressed them. The archangels stood up straighter, ready for a fight. Arrogance. Some things haven't changed. Gabriel shook his head. I don't know why I was expecting anything else. Lucifer's eyebrows rose up at Gabriel's comment. It's literally in the title, little brother, God's most beautiful creation, king of hell and all that jazz. Arrogance is warranted. A necessity. Just like the power that comes with it. Trust me, you'll find that out soon enough. Should you choose not to heed my warning, Gabriel. The mood got tense. Energy was brimming in the hands and weapons of the archangels. You know what that child has done. What he is capable of. Uriel spoke. He touched upon his guiding light. The hand that shaped creation. A feat that is reserved for only those chosen. Those important to his plan. Gabriel added in a grave tone. We all felt it, Lucifer. Even you. It was a significant action. One only trumped by the first rebellion led by you and the second by Asmodel. A proper explanation is needed, brother. We do not have to fight. Because we would undoubtedly lose without Michael. Gabriel added to himself. All right, I'll concede that you have a point. However, my offer still stands. Walk away. All traces of a joking mood left Lucifer's face. Whispers of foreign power caused the angels to falter, some losing their stability in the air. He will not ask again. It is either we fight and risk tearing apart the fabric of reality or find a different solution. Ruggel informed them as the foundations of Aden's world shook. Hell to the fuck no. No one is fighting here. This is my dimension. My realm. My world. And none of you are welcome. A voice suddenly cut through the space. As one, the archangels and the angels turned their attention to the new party. Standing on a massive 20-foot dragon, Aden appeared out of a boom tube. All around him multiple portals opened, and with them came the forces of the elemental dimension. Thousands of dragons. A measly response to the forces gathered. The angels were billions in numbers after all, but Aden was sure his authority and Lucifer's, slap anyone who isn't the presence away, power was more than enough to contend with it all. Blasphemer, you stand in the presence of the heavenly host. Have you no remorse or regret for the nature of your sin? One of the huge archangels with long blonde hair and blue eyes asked, leveling his majestic sword at the young boy. Aden swallowed as he felt the pressure from all around. This was a suppression that went far beyond power. He could feel it in his core. However, a massive pushback of power exploded out of Aden's body as the Āvātār state denied the effect of angelic power upon his vessel. Aden lifted his head up in difficulty and pushed past the constricting pressure on his mind, body and soul while facing down one of the beings closest in power to Lucifer. His eyes blazed with conviction and strength. Bite me. Aden spat out. A white glow manifesting briefly in his eyes. Flashing with power at the threat before him. Every one of the archangels felt it. The torrential flood of unending power hidden underneath the mortal shell of the boy. Serakwil didn't waste any more time. With a mere flap of his wings, he achieved speeds faster than Kid Flash had ever gone at. To Aden, it felt like he hadn't moved at all, yet a golden sword was poised to smite him. To split him from head to toe with no mercy or hesitation. A clang rang out as Aden blinked his eyes. Suddenly the dragon patriarch he was riding on pulled back from the scene. Serakwil's sword had been mere inches from Aden's forehead. The only thing stopping the blade was Lucifer's hand, holding it by one of the sharp sides. Serakwil strained to pull away, however the weapon was effortlessly held captive by his big brother. Lucifer turned his attention to Aden, throwing him a look over his shoulders. Oi, I teleported you away for a reason. Are you that eager to die? Of course he wasn't, Aden thought. But what sort of man was he? What sort of master leaves his realm in the fate of others? Aden had thought he was done with taking unnecessary risks, but he felt like he would betray his ideals had he chosen to stay out of it. This was his dimension. This was his realm, and no one was allowed to do as they pleased. A trail of blood run down his forehead, from Seraquil's holy blade extending its energy before Lucifer neutralized it. Anger clouded Aden's mind. And something answered back from within the deep recess of his mind. Aden blacked out completely. This time when the Āvātār state took over, he wasn't witness to what was going to happen. He wasn't aware of when his mind fell into slumber and the epitome of order and balance came out. The dragons roared as one while the archangels watched on in shock. White glowing energy covered the boy in a shroud of erratic power. Pulsing with the unknown. Gabriel, what is this? Raphael wondered out loud, inquiring from the hornblower who was similarly surprised. He accessed his memories. Records detailing events over billions of years with picturesque clarity and found nothing. Therein lied the answer. An existence beyond time, space, and reality. Outside of the known and into the depths of the void, past other conceivable worlds. This is a true anomaly. Outside the plan. The normally stoic archangels were shocked. Gabriel looked at Lucifer to judge his expression and found a serious look on his face. This further reinforced the hornblower's theory. The light show died down, revealing the boy, now with glowing white orbs in the place where his eyes should have been. His face was set in an expression of anger and wrath. His power elevated to levels even Ragel, the one who could feel other beings' strength level, keenly found absurd for a mortal. Nice of you to show up, Lucifer commented. The Āvātār state spared a look at the deceiver before turning its attention back to the billions of angels. A fight could not happen here today. The battle would destabilize the foundations of the realm and destroy everything the being had worked for. It had taken care to restrict every possible creature but had never accounted for divine beings. That would have to change. Aden spread out his hands, and said one word. A word that changed everything. A word that shifted the battle into his favor. A word that was absolute, undeniable, and unquestionable. A word that would no doubt prove to the host the true depths of his power. Announcing that a new player was in town. The word was leave. It took but a second for all the lower-ranked angels to find themselves floating above the moon in space. Billions of the battle-class angels booted out of the realm by one simple word. Chapter 107, First Firebending Subskill Part 3. General point of view, Wayne Mansion. Shock and awe has hit the planet following a never-before-seen phenomenon of the moon attaining two shining rings set in a diagonal orbiting position around the natural satellite. Experts from all around the world are gathering to come up with a scientific explanation to what the cause. Dick Grayson switched the channel to another news outlet. This time a man of Asian origins appeared on the screen speaking in Japanese. The language was easy enough for Dick to pick up, having undergone extensive and intense lessons by Bruce to better prepare him for missions around the world. It was Batman's policy that you couldn't be too prepared. Contingencies upon backup plans with follow-up schemes and whatnot. That was more than anything, Batman's legacy. Our sources say the Justice League is planning to send a team as first response to investigate this strange incident. This has met with mixed reactions from multiple governments of the world. Chief of whom being China and Russia, due to the ongoing debate about the United States of America getting precedent over extraterrestrial issues based on the fact that most of the League members are American citizens. Dick made a small sound of disgust at that. He knew that the League was planning to add more international superheroes to their roster. Ironically, the same countries using that excuse to blast America were the same ones who had stringent restrictions on the League efforts, one of them being cooperation into allowing their own vigilantes to work hand in hand with the League. China was especially strict on that. Back to the other matter, Dick didn't know what to do with the information about the moon. It was currently 6 in the evening. This was usually when he would take the Zeta tube straight to the watchtower and meet up with the team for a debrief on a previous mission, brief on a planned mission or a training session with Black Canary. Unfortunately, the team had been momentarily suspended for 1 week as the League ran multiple scans and surveillance to ensure that the watchtower was not severely compromised. Dick gnashed his teeth. They should have known it had been too easy. That Aden would never allow himself to be captured like that. Well, hindsight is 20/20. Dick took the elevator down to the hidden section of the Wayne mansion, the Batcave, to meet up with his adopted father. Just because Bruce was out of the League didn't mean he was out of the game. If anything, his newfound autonomy and freedom allowed him free rein to work more effectively. Dick, however, knew his adopted father more than the man knew. The press conference announcing his resignation had been today. It couldn't have been easy on him. No matter how much he tried to hide it. The only thing he could do was be there for him. Silent up until the moment that Bruce was ready to listen to him talk. General point of view, elemental dimension. Gabriel looked at his hand in shock as his form blurred. A massive force was working to push him and the other 5 out of the bounds of the elemental dimension. The power increased in magnitudes the longer he tried to hold on. One questioning look at Lucifer and he knew there was no way he was the one responsible. The smug grin of satisfaction he was expecting from his brother was after all nowhere to be seen, which meant Gabriel looked at the boy and felt afraid. All that power, wielded by a mortal. Seraquil's hands lit up, bright yellow light poured off his left arm and covered his magnificent blade. Rune-like inscriptions manifested along the shaft of the sword along with a silent hum that lightly rang across the whole sky. A telepathic link was established among the 6 of them. "We have to go on the offense," Seraquil said seriously. Gabriel was about to agree with him, when Uriel cut in to add his piece, twirling his spear expertly. "We are past the point of a meaningful and peaceful talk, brother. As one we will move to attack the deceiver while you stop the boy." He directed that thought to Gabriel. After agreeing, they pulled from more of the light. The power of the presence that all angels had access to. Using that, they managed to stave off the expulsion from the realm. At least long enough to do what had to be done. Gabriel nodded. A loud sigh was the response they got from Lucifer. "Wrong choice, Gabriel. As your big brother, it falls to me to punish you all appropriately. The child is under my protection," Lucifer declared, his powerful aura dwarfing everyone present. He raised up his hands slowly and following the move, space fractured and gravity increased. "Now! Move!" Seraquil and Gabriel shouted separately as all of them strained and just barely managed to endure the sudden oppression from Lucifer. They all disappeared from their position in blinding speed, flanking Lucifer from all sides. Uriel darted in with a grunt, spear pulled back and his wings flapping once in a mighty wave to increase his already fast speed to almost beyond light speed. The spear in his hand left afterimages and a trail of motes of light as it descended upon the King of Hell's neck. A ruthless move right from the get-go. A clang rang out as a thin rapier appeared in Lucifer's grip, successfully blocking the attack. Uriel's eyes grew focused while he twisted the spear in envious mastery. This time he swiped out with the shaft, alternating between moves to target blind spots and places that would cause mortal injuries. A particularly overextended move turned out to be a strategic action, because when Lucifer tried to take advantage, his left side was left open for a dozen white light lances to spear through him from Seraquil. He smiled and spun in place, sending a burst of power that pushed every archangel at his side away. The energy blast was blocked due to Raphael's effort. A bright wall of light covering the archangels. Raguel took that chance to engage Lucifer in a hand-to-hand close combat altercation. Blocks, parries, sidesteps and kicks appeared in blinding speeds. Shockwaves rang out through the whole sky, shaking the foundations of Aden's world. Lucifer managed to backhand Raguel away before he increased the power pouring off him in waves. The wave of energy coalesced in a shroud of white light covering his body. "Okay, you want to play? Let's see what you all got," Lucifer commented, slicing his sword through the air. Meanwhile, Gabriel's mighty form appeared above the Avatar, the action followed by screaming sonic winds that was a testament to a unique skill Gabriel possessed, an instinctual control over sound. The angel merely spread his hands apart and a field of silence occupied their immediate surroundings. Gabriel's sword was not as huge as Seraquiel or Uriel's expertly made spear, but it had theirs beat in one area: support. It could turn into anything he wished. And true to his moniker, the sword shifted into its true form, a long horn. Give up, child. There is still time for you to make it out of this alive and unharmed. He addressed the Avatar, who was still standing on the Dragon Patriarch. His voice traveling through the silent space, clear and causing distortions. A sharp-eyed look along with an anger-filled grimace was the only answer he got. I see. So be it. Gabriel brought the horn to his mouth and blew upon it. Instantly the whole space changed. Millions of silent weapons, spears, axes, swords, hammers and arrows manifested with that simple action and shot off at supersonic speeds towards Aden's form. A true and silent death. The Avatar jumped off the dragon and immediately, Gabriel felt the difference. The air grew heavy and uncooperative despite the silent field he had set up. The Avatar pulled back his hands to the sides and then clapped them together. A gale more destructive than a tsunami in a cyclone put together was born, pushing most of the weapons about to land on Aden away. The Archangel was blown back, having to use his wings to shield his face from the sharp and slicing winds. 20% of Gabriel's attack managed to make it through the attack, and in response to that, the Avatar snapped his finger. A keening wail burst through the sky, taking Gabriel by surprise as a sonic attack was released in such an unexpected way that it left him shocked. The frequency of the shockwave was enough to offset and neutralize Gabriel's last attack. And the Archangel understood why Lucifer didn't look worried in the least about him attacking the boy. The boy was truly powerful. And he also understood what the sonic attack was, a testament. Telling Gabriel that he could take anything that the Archangel could throw at him. Gabriel wasn't your typical battle-class angel. His abilities laid primarily elsewhere. Which is why he recognized he couldn't take the boy down alone. Raphael, I might need your help, brother, cover me while I attack. He sent the telepathic message through their link, and a brief nod from the most peaceful of the archangels was all the answer he needed. Gabriel decided to change tactics. So far, the boy had demonstrated a knack for blocking and neutralizing Gabriel's meta skills, but what Gabriel knew was that in the end, the boy was still essentially a human, and that meant human-level physical parameters. The angel's horn changed to two twin swords. One mighty flap of his wings and he beared down on the Avatar with the full force granted to him by his angelic physique. The Avatar in response created a force bubble made of harsh and gyrating air shields. The force shield was blasted out of the air by a punch, slamming onto the surface of Sanctuary, carving a groove through the trees and then skimming along the water for a short distance before the Avatar managed to arrest its momentum. Aden's face grew focused. Curious, studying and attentive. Gabriel exploded towards him again. Slashes and thrusts from the twin swords fell upon the force bubble like a never-ending downpour of rain and hailstorm. The force field barely held on when matched up against the onslaught of attacks. But it did. The Avatar did not attack again. Content to study and learn. To dissect the core of the kind of being an angel was, having never met a typical one before. And it did. One instance the force shield was sent spinning away from a harsh kick. The Dragon Patriarch, seizing the chance, flew to help its master, sending a plume of violet flames at Gabriel. The hornblower did not cower, however, due to the white shield of light that appeared to cover his form, extending out to dozens of meters. The light died down to reveal Raphael, long brown hair, a beautiful face and calm disposition standing before the dragon and Gabriel. "Thank you, Raphael," Gabriel said. "Keep the creatures busy, I will handle the..." His eyes widened minutely as a feeling of danger cut through the space in a span of picoseconds. Raphael's light surged strongly, seeking to block the attack. The shield was torn apart like wet tissue paper and Gabriel lost, a wing. The whole battlefield stopped. Serakweel, Uriel, Ragel and Raphael could not believe it. Blood exploded out of the wound as the wing detached, due to a precise sword slash. During that brief moment of shock, the Āvātār eyes, glowing menacingly, darted in once again, his speed aided by the slowed temporal fields surrounding his body. The weapon in his hand was black with red energy pouring off it in waves. Not evil but a perfect antithesis to the make of the angel's weapons. He had dissected what kind of being an angel was, and he finally had the answer in form of a sword that actively worked to cut them away from the light. The sword swept through the air, aiming this time for Gabriel's neck. Death inevitably beared down on the hornblower. Enough. A brief word. But that word stopped the newly made weapon from reaping the life of an archangel. The last and final archangel, one who no one gathered, except for a certain king of hell, had paid attention to, revealed himself. Holy heavenly light appeared between the Āvātār and Gabriel, who was now just feeling the pain from the lost appendage. Finally, you choose to end this farce and reveal yourself, Father. Lucifer commented, teleporting next to Aden. The light died down to reveal a portly old man, standing in mid-air with an umbrella in his hands. No indication was given, but 1 minute Gabriel was grunting in pain and the next the wound was gone as if he was never injured in the first place. Immediately, the archangels knelt in subservience to his sovereignty. Father. Gabriel started out in a humble tone. The presence smiled gently at the 5 archangels. Everything is as it should be now, Gabriel. I am here. The words were soft and filled with care. Lucifer made a sound of disgust and scoffed. Serakweel, taking offense to that, almost attacked him, only for Uriel's hand to stop him. The presence merely smiled, as if he was watching children playing harmless games in a park. Gabriel, take your brothers and the rest of the host home. Their presence is already causing quite the stir on the creation. Gabriel acquiesced and a bright light covered them. Like that, the 5 archangels disappeared instantly, leaving behind Lucifer, Aden, and the presence, creator of DC. Chapter 108, First Firebending Sub-Skill Part 4. General Point of View. Upon the angel's departure, the god of all turned his attention to his son and the boy the former sought to protect. Samuel, it's good to see you. The presence said amiably. The rapier in Lucifer's hand disappeared into motes of light as he prepared to leave. You have things to say, but I don't need to listen. Lucifer placed a hand on Aden's shoulder, seeking to teleport them away. You are still bitter about how things turned out. The presence relented. The statement stopped Lucifer in his tracks. My son, I do not begrudge you your hate, but I need your understanding. For once. Lucifer's fingers tightened before he turned around and faced the presence once more. My understanding? Don't make me laugh, Father. That would require you to also understand me. And no way in all of your creation is that ever going to happen. He said heatedly. The presence nodded, his face grim and sad. Fair enough. However, you abhor me for a situation I had no control of, whatsoever. I might be eternal and all-powerful, but no one is exempt from their existence. Whether planned or not, false or true, the core of your past is unchangeable, unalterable, and important. You are my son, Samuel, and I am your maker. That is a fact. Lucifer gnashed his teeth. Yes, I was right. I didn't need to listen. With that, he teleported away, leaving behind the Āvātār and the presence in Aden's dimension. The presence sighed and took a step. Instantly, space warped and he along with the Āvātār found themselves sitting on a bench in a public park. The Āvātār tensed before a calming feeling forcefully invaded Aden's body and relaxed it. Calm yourself. I will not harm you, you need not be afraid, young one. The presence said. The Āvātār state listened, watched and judged, trying to decipher what this being was. It came to one conclusion, nothing, yet everything. The mortal form this being was inhabiting was unassuming and harmless looking with no discernible aura to indicate his real power. That said, A deeper scan showed the old man was made up of everything that the world was. All the elements that the Āvātār state had access to, they all had an imprint of some sort. And the owner of that imprint was standing right next to him. Conclusion: there was no fighting this. Changing tactics. Yet, I would be wise to. A soft voice escaped Aden's mouth. The tone was said in a fearful yet sincere way. The Āvātār state had chosen to speak. Words were the only way to get out of this. The presence chuckled. One of his hands went to his inner pocket and out with it came a packet filled with seeds. "Smart of you," came the reply. He put his hand in the packet, grabbing a handful of the contents and then scattering them along the open grounds. "Sunflower seeds. Very nutritious," he explained as a flock of pigeons dove down and started pecking at the seeds. "I have an idea as to who, or rather what, sent you here. But I admit, I do not know who you really are. Care to enlighten me?" The presence spoke up again. Feeling no hostility from him, the Āvātār state considered the request before finally accepting. It would be easy to access Aden's memories, because they were essentially the same being, just different perspectives and motives. But, it somehow felt that the real Aden, the emotional-driven one, would better be suited for this. The Āvātār state let go, the glow suffusing his body in an aura of power died away, leaving behind a normal-looking boy. Aden blinked his eyes and found himself sitting on a bench while the waning light of the sun cast deep and long shadows of his form and the old man sitting next to him. He stared at him in surprise and shock before he felt calm wash over him. The Āvātār state's memories gently poured into him and he understood. Clearing his throat to gather himself, fully aware of who he was sitting with, Aden acquiesced to the request and begun to talk. "My name is Aden Strong and I was lost." And so the Āvātār begun his tale. He talked pretty much about everything. His life back on his earth, his dreams and aspirations, his family and friends, and anything else that he deemed important. He then told the presence about his arrival here and how everything had gone for him. At the end of it all, the hours had gone by, the night sailed in and the sun was now peeking over the horizon, sending the first waves of sunlight shining through the park. Aden's shoulders looked relaxed and were not set in the same tense position as before. Pouring out everything except the truly private and sensitive topics like the Āvātār system had had a positive therapeutic effect on Aden. "I see." The presence smiled at the young boy sitting right next to him. "Thank you for sharing," he added, still feeding the flock of pigeons that for whatever reason had never left even through the night. "Thank you for listening," was the response from Aden. "What now?" he asked a bit warily. He was still essentially a stranger here on the presence's house. "I have more to thank you for. You kept my wayward son company, even if the relationship was based on mutual benefits. Even now, I can feel his gaze stuck on us, waiting to spring in and try to save you if anything happens. I believe he sees himself in you. That feeling of being lost with no one around to help you, the drive to achieve your goals despite how difficult the task might be, and the amazing power to do anything you set your mind to. It's true, he considers you as a friend." Aden's mind went blank. He could hardly believe the words coming out of the presence's mouth. Lucifer considered him a friend? Then again, judging from the Āvātār state's memories, Lucy had stood up for him against billions of angels, 5 archangels, and the presence. "I am curious about one thing. The way you introduced yourself, you said you were lost. Yet here you are, still very far from home, but you seem content. What changed?" The presence questioned in interest, scattering a few more grains and seeds to the birds. "I guess, me. 1 month ago I would have been clamoring and begging for a chance that you could take me home. It shouldn't be hard for you, I mean, you're the presence." Aden chuckled nervously. "And then the whole demon hunting thing happened, and for whatever reason, there doesn't seem to be any demonology experts around to take care of something like that, and I realized, all this power would be wasted on someone selfish if I chose to leave with it." He paused, trying to gather his thoughts and better explain because, being this close to the literal god of all DC continuities, was more nerve-wracking than any fight he'd ever been in. It's my power, but it's also a responsibility. My Earth is relatively safe and free of all things meta, so I wouldn't be living up to my full potential while there, and finally, there's also this fear that things might escalate due to my presence. New threats that my world is frankly not ready for might appear because fate works like that, so, yeah. I was lost. But not anymore. The presence stared at Aden expressionlessly. Aden clenched his jaw and forced himself to stare back before he wisely broke eye contact first. Good. You have learned much, but you still have a long way to go. It won't be easy. What you seek to change is something many before you have tried. The only thing I can promise you is that I will not interfere. Besides, you are outside the plan. I would love to see the ramifications of your actions down the line. One final warning though, young one. The air didn't grow any colder, but Aden could feel something change. Don't bite off more than you can chew. There is an order to things that should never be broken lest you harm the same thing you seek to protect. Translation: don't try to access the light again, Aden interpreted for himself. A chuckle broke him out of his thoughts. However, what father doesn't reward someone for protecting his children? Your actions have not gone unnoticed, Aden. Both from above and below. Ask me for anything you wish for. Aden thought about the offer. He could ask for power, but that didn't seem like the right thing to do. He could ask for a way back home, but he had already decided that he was sticking around. It's crazy how a few months could change someone. Then again, it wasn't the time that had changed his perspective on things, but rather the experiences. Aden truly believed he could make a difference. He had verified to himself that he was probably insane, but his heart and mind wouldn't rest until he knew he had done everything in his power to make this world a safer place. To aid in that endeavor, there was only one thing that was appropriate for him to ask. Could you help me hide the elemental dimension from all spying and intrusion? Even from cosmic beings? The presence hummed. That is a well thought out request. I approve of it. No one, barring myself, you and anyone you choose to exempt, shall know the location of your elemental dimension, through any means, mystical, scientific or cosmical. Aden felt a sudden change run through his spine. Like an electric tingle. Thank you. He told the presence. You're welcome. The presence replied, and they sat there, watching the sun rise from the east, in peace. This marks the end of part 36 of the story, Āvātār in DC Universe. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.